Fed has mismanaged monetary policy arguably worse than they ever have before. The Fed looks and feels like they're in the corner of a boxing ring, covering their ribs, covering their chin, and the boxer, they're waiting for the bell to ring. They're waiting for the round to be over. They're waiting to be Vaselined up, and everyone's just wailing on the Fed. They mismanaged this entirely. They left rates so low, the excess amount of liquidity injected to the system combined with the fastest rate hike ever. They bankrupted their own banks. In order for the banks to survive, George, they're going to have to sell the Fed bonds, and the Fed can't afford that. Dollar inflation may land at 4, 5, 6, 7%. Writing's on the wall. Anyone with a brain knows that you got to invest in gold, you got to invest in Bitcoin.
With the Federal Reserve being backed into the corner, what is coming next? Will the Fed default on their debt, or will the Fed be the one that's actually starting to adopt Bitcoin? Governments across the world are getting away from the dollar. Buy while you still can.
Crypto crew, Sean's coming back at you, another cryptocurrency video. We have a jam-packed video, so getting straight into it. Taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart, we've showed you the Gaussian channels, and the Gaussian channels right now, Bitcoin has came up, broke through the downwards resistance of this Gaussian channel, but then came up, hit the top bound, and right now flipped that midsection from resistance to support. When this happened in the past, we have continuations. Just like right here, we came back, flipped it here, and then had a continuation, and it just continues to happen. We told you in the RSI was extremely oversold, hasn't got quite overbought yet, but we've had this retracement, and as long as we don't come down below this level here, the 51.5 level, we could come a little bit lower, but that'll just be putting in a lower high, and the continuation to the upside for Bitcoin will definitely be parabolic. An update from TA Trader Allen. This is the trend, B macro. 10-year Bitcoin charts with the 10-year SMA. This chart here is showing you the 10-year SMA, and what's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin just comes above it, retests, above it, retest, above it, retest. The next time it runs up, how high can Bitcoin go? An update from El Crypto Prof. Do have a technical target in the short to mid-term that we do have this fake out. Bitcoin could come down to 23, 24, 25,000. This is the move we're seeing currently, but then it's going to be a fake out and come back up just like it was last time. Then we come up to this upside. This is going to be in the mid 30s to almost 40,000 depending on how fast this happens. So this is the short term. Looking at the macro on the long term, there's only a handful of analysts who see what Bitcoin is doing here. It works on the upside just like it works on the downside. A series of higher highs and higher lows eventually result in a parabolic rally. El Crypto Prof is calling for a new all-time high before 2025 in his opinion. So we have the 2024 halving. You guys know that. But as you see, back in 2016, what happened? A higher low and higher high, and then a blast off. Then we put in lower lows and lower highs, then a floor. And then in 2020, higher lows and higher highs, then a blast off. And then in 2022, lower lows and lower highs, then a floor. Right now in 2023, same type of pattern, higher lows and higher highs, and then a blast off. How long will it take until we see a new all-time high? He's calling before the end of 2024. That definitely could be in the cards. Another update from TA Trader Allen. The MACD histogram accumulation zone, people who accumulate within the past zone got decent profits in the past year. This zone probably comes to an end. Don't wait. Every single time you have this accumulation zone, then there's a blast off. From the bottom of this, there's a 12,000% increase. Every single time there's a blast off. This was a bear cycle. So right here, you see is a 343% move. So right here, you know, how high could we go? We could go up to that $200,000 Bitcoin just with almost a 1,200% move. As you see, the accumulation zone is now ending. And once we get back into the screen, it's going to be off to the races. And without further ado, let's hear from Mark Yusko. He's talking about some technical analysis that he sees in the Bitcoin charts and what his take is on the market. Let's hear from Mark.
And if you look at the chart, it's like a beautiful inverse head and shoulders at 27,000.
Yeah.
And so it's a really interesting technical pattern. And, you know, I think we need some good news to get the momentum going. There are a few that said, whoa, banks are less safe. I need to be my own bank.
Yeah.
And there was literally some demand for BTC. You know, I think much of the big move this year was short covering, right? So you had the big Binance short liquidation. You had more short covering around some kind of news around the liquidation of the Mt. Gox stuff that actually didn't happen. And so that was part of it. But then you had some real demand, right? I mean, MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor was out buying, and that was real. But I do think, and actually the topic of my presentation later today is about the banking crisis of 23. And I go back throughout history of the banking crisis from the 1800s, the 1900s. And what's interesting is if you would have said we're going to have 3 of the largest bank failures in history this year, which was not on anyone's bingo card, by the way. If you would have said that this would be the largest year for bank failures in history. Now, part of that's inflation adjustments, but even inflation adjusted, it was bigger than 2008. Because what people forget is 2008 was really just WAMU. And then there were a bunch of smaller banks in 9, 10, 11 that failed. So there could be another wave of failures going on. And we've seen that with PacWest and Western Alliance and things like that. But if you would have said that was going to happen, you would have thought, oh my God, Bitcoin's going to crash. Instead, it's up meaningfully. I come back to the whole thing that all of this, I think, is a plan to foment fear in the banking system so that we'll all gladly, happily accept the CBDC that's coming. And, that's the sinister Saturday part that I'm sure you don't want to talk about. And there's going to be so many types of bodies floating. And, commercial real estate, it's coming. And, they tried to label Signature Bank a crypto bank, right? To shut it down. It's all real estate, and they are going to get destroyed, right? Those loans are going to get destroyed. And so there's no way the FDIC could bail them out because they don't have any money. In fact, the announcement today, they're going to charge the big banks billions of dollars to try to replenish the FDIC coffer because they burned it all up on FRC. And it's bad. And, we talked last week about 350 California, $300 million asset that the bids are 60 to 70. That's someone else's asset, right? That loan is someone else's asset. And that's going to get vaporized.
And there you have it from Mark Yusko. With what's going on in the commercial real estate market is very bad. These loans will get destroyed. Right now, that bubble is on the verge of collapse. And with that, I'm Sean with the Bitcoin Bros. You guys like this content, go ahead and smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and show us some love. We appreciate the support. With that, that's all I have for you today, and I'm out.